There are weeks in life that look ordinary from the outside but feel enormous from the inside. You wake up, you do what you always do, you keep your routines and your schedule and your to-do list. But beneath all of that, something is building. Pressure. A restlessness. A sense that things cannot continue exactly as they have been. If you are a Capricorn reading this right now, you likely already know what this feels like. You are in one of those weeks. The next 7 days are not going to be quiet for you, not internally at least. Saturn, your ruling planet, is the great enforcer of growth through pressure, and right now that pressure is not designed to crush you. It is designed to move you. Every single one of the 11 decisions we are about to discuss is arriving in your life because something in you has outgrown the current container. The old way of doing things is no longer enough. The old agreements, the old patterns, the old places where you have been keeping yourself small or safe or comfortable are beginning to press back against you. And the decisions that are coming are not punishments. They are invitations. Invitations to step more fully into the version of yourself that you have always known was possible, but have found so many reasons to delay. These 7 days matter. What you decide matters. And you are more ready for this than you know. Decision 1. Whether to stay in something that is no longer growing. You have been here before. Standing at the edge of something that used to serve you but no longer does. Weighing the familiar comfort of staying against the unknown discomfort of leaving. Capricorn is a sign that commits. You do not enter things lightly, and you do not leave them lightly either. You have a deep sense of responsibility to the things you have agreed to, the relationships you have built, the roles you have accepted, the paths you have set yourself on. Walking away for you never feels simple. It always feels like a form of failure, even when it is the bravest and most necessary thing you could do. But something you have been part of, whether a relationship, a job, a friendship, a dynamic in your family, or a way of living that has been familiar for years, is no longer producing what it once promised. The growth has stopped. The movement has stalled. What was once energizing has become draining. What was once a source of meaning has become a source of obligation alone. You have been aware of this for longer than you have allowed yourself to fully admit. The productivity and discipline of your sign make it possible for you to keep operating within something long past the point where another sign would have stepped away, because you are willing to work harder, adjust more, endure longer. But even Capricorn has a threshold. The decision arriving in the next 7 days is not whether to impulsively blow something up. You would never do that, and it would not serve you if you did. The decision is whether to be honest with yourself finally and fully about whether what you are sustaining is worth sustaining. Not whether it can be made to work with more effort, but whether it deserves more of your effort. That is a different question entirely. And the answer that is forming inside you right now, the one you have been carefully avoiding for a while, is not wrong. It is just asking you to be brave enough to listen to it. Decision 2. Whether to speak a truth you have been keeping to yourself. You are extraordinarily good at keeping things to yourself. That is both a strength and, at times, a weight you carry alone when you do not have to. There is something you have been holding back. A truth you have not spoken, either because the moment has not felt right, because you are afraid of the reaction it will produce, because you do not want to disrupt the equilibrium of a situation, or simply because saying it out loud makes it more real and more consequential than keeping it internal. But the weight of that unspoken truth is growing, and the silence is starting to cost you more than the conversation would. Capricorn tends to believe that carrying things privately is a form of strength, and sometimes it is. But there is a difference between choosing the right time to speak and indefinitely avoiding a conversation that genuinely needs to happen. The truth you have been holding is one that deserves to be spoken. Not explosively, not destructively, but clearly and honestly, in the straightforward way that is actually one of your most admired qualities when you allow yourself to use it. The decision here is not whether you should start unnecessary conflict. It is whether you are willing to value your own voice enough to use it. You ask so much of yourself in terms of output, in terms of results, in terms of what you produce and achieve. But you do not always ask for what you need or say what is real for you. That imbalance is part of what this week is addressing. The truth you speak does not have to be spoken perfectly. Just has to be spoken. If what you are hearing feels accurate, know that it could happen if you applied this energy consistently for 21 consecutive days. That is the 21-day challenge pinned at the top of this channel. It is built around daily guidance, focused direction, and real momentum. If you are tired of staying in the same cycle, that structure is exactly what has been missing. Decision 3. Whether to ask for help with something you have been trying to handle alone. Asking for help is not in your natural vocabulary. It never has been. From a young age you have been the person who figures things out, who handles what needs to be handled, who does not burden others with your problems because that has always felt like weakness or imposition. Your self-reliance is one of the things people admire most about you. It is also one of the things that can quietly isolate you when you most need connection. Because there are things in your life right now that are genuinely too heavy to carry alone, and continue forward at full capacity. You may not even fully realize how much of your energy is being consumed by something you are managing in silence. You have adapted so well to the weight that you have almost forgotten what it feels like to carry less. But the cost is real. The energy you are spending managing this alone is energy that is not available for the things you actually want to be building. The question is not whether you are capable of continuing to handle this by yourself. You are. The question is whether you should have to. The decision coming in the next 7 days involves allowing someone to help you. This may feel profoundly uncomfortable. It may trigger all the old narratives about not needing anyone or about what it means to need something from another person. But growth does not always come from doing more. Sometimes it comes from letting down a wall that has been costing you more to maintain than you realized. The right person, offered the chance to support you, will not think less of you. They will feel trusted. And you may be surprised by how much lighter everything becomes when you stop insisting on carrying it all alone. Decision 4. Whether to invest seriously in your own ambition or keep holding back. You have ambitions that you have not fully acted on. You know exactly what they are. You think about them often, usually in the quiet hours when you let yourself imagine what could be instead of what is. Maybe it is a business idea you have been researching without committing to. Maybe it is a career shift you have been planning without executing. Maybe it is a project that has lived in your notes or your mind for longer than you can justify without asking yourself why it is still just an idea. The structure is there. The knowledge is accumulating. The vision is clear. What is missing is the moment when you decide that the risk is worth taking and you move. Capricorn is a sign built for achievement. Saturn's influence gives you more natural capacity for focused, sustained effort than almost any other sign in the zodiac. You are not afraid of work. You are not afraid of delay or sacrifice. You are not afraid of the long road if you know the long road leads somewhere worth arriving. What you can be afraid of, though you rarely admit it, is the moment of initial commitment, the moment before you have any evidence that what you are building is going to work. That gap between action and proof is where many Capricorns stay far longer than necessary, preparing and planning and researching when they are already more than ready to begin. The decision arriving this week is whether to move. Not to perfect the plan further. Not to gather more information. Not to wait for a better time. To move. The timing will never feel perfect because perfection is a standard that keeps even the most capable people standing still. What is available to you right now is momentum. That is enough. Take the first real step on something you have been holding in the wings. Decision 5. Whether to reconsider a relationship that has been causing you quiet pain. There is a relationship in your life, not necessarily a romantic one, that has been causing you a low and persistent form of pain that you have been handling by not handling it. By staying busy, by focusing on other things, by telling yourself it is not that bad or that things will improve or that the history between you and this person makes it too complicated to address. But the pain has not resolved. If anything, it has settled in more deeply because it has been unaddressed for so long. Capricorn's loyalty makes you one of the most reliable people in anyone's life. But that same loyalty can become a trap when it keeps you connected to someone who is not contributing to your well-being in a proportional way. You do not keep score in the petty sense, but you have a deep awareness of fairness, and you know when a relationship has become significantly one-sided. When the effort, the care, the consistency is coming mostly or entirely from your side. When you are the one doing the work of keeping something alive that the other person seems content to let you carry. The decision here is to reconsider, not in the sense of making any dramatic declaration, but in the quiet, honest way that Capricorn does its most important thinking. Reconsidering whether the relationship in its current form is worth the cost. Reconsidering what you actually want and need from the people closest to you. Reconsidering whether your loyalty has become something that is working against you rather than for you. That reconsideration is not betrayal. It is necessary care for yourself. Decision 6. Whether to establish a boundary you have been too lenient about. You have been allowing something that you should not have been allowing. Not out of weakness, but out of that characteristic Capricorn patience that gives people the benefit of the doubt and waits to see if they will correct course on their own. But they have not corrected course. And the thing you have been tolerating has not gotten smaller. It has gotten larger, because tolerance without a clear boundary eventually reads as permission. The pattern that has been bothering you has continued because nothing in your behavior has clearly communicated that it needs to stop. Boundaries are not punishments. They are not unkind. They are not the same as walls or coldness. A boundary is simply a clear statement about what you will and will not accept, communicated without hostility, but also without ambiguity. Capricorn is capable of magnificent clarity when the moment calls for it. The moment is calling for it. The decision arriving this week is whether to finally establish the boundary you have been postponing. To say clearly what you need, what you will not continue to accept, and what the consequences will be if the boundary is not respected. You may worry that setting this boundary will damage the relationship. It is possible that it will create tension. But a relationship that cannot survive you having a boundary is not a relationship built on respect. And you deserve relationships built on respect. Saturn governs structure for a reason. Structure is what makes things strong. The boundary you are being pushed to draw is part of building something durable rather than something that simply continues. If this message is resonating with your sign right now, trust that it is not a coincidence. When the universe wants to speak to you, it sends exactly the right signal at exactly the right moment. And you are here because you needed to hear this today. Your support, whether as a subscriber or as a member of this community, is what keeps these messages alive. The ones that touch hearts, awaken minds, and transform lives. If this video has been making sense to you, drop in the comments the day you were born. Let us keep going. Decision 7. Whether to let go of a regret that has been limiting you. There is something from your past that you have not fully released. A decision you made that you have second-guessed ever since. A moment you wish had gone differently. An opportunity you did not take. Or a path you chose that led somewhere harder than you had planned. Capricorn carries these kinds of regrets quietly but heavily. You hold yourself to an extremely high standard, and when you fall short of that standard in your own eyes, you can be harder on yourself than any outside critic would dare to be. That self-judgment has been living in you longer than it should, and it has been quietly shaping how much you believe you deserve going forward. The decision coming in the next 7 days involves a form of release that has nothing to do with anyone else. It is entirely internal. It is the decision to stop using that past moment as evidence against yourself. To stop letting the story of what went wrong define the parameters of what you believe is possible for you now. You learned something from what happened. That learning has real value. But the ongoing punishment of carrying the regret past its useful point is not adding anything to your growth. It is subtracting from your present. You are not the person you were at the moment of that decision. You have grown, adapted, and gathered more understanding. The version of you that made the choice you regret was doing what they could with what they had at the time. Forgiving that version of yourself is not weakness. It is the only thing that fully frees your current self to move without dragging the past along. Decision 8. Whether to accept that you cannot control a situation you have been trying to manage. You are extraordinarily competent, and that competence has taught you correctly that most things improve when you apply intelligence, structure, and persistent effort. But there is a situation in your life right now that does not respond to effort the way situations usually do. You have been trying to manage it. You have been applying your characteristic discipline to a set of circumstances that ultimately does not fall within your ability to control, because it involves other people's choices or broader conditions that are simply outside your reach. Capricorn struggles deeply with accepting the limits of control. Your sign is built around mastery, around competence, around the confidence that comes from knowing you can build and manage and execute. When something falls outside that capacity, it can produce a specific kind of anxiety that is hard to shake, because it touches the deepest fear of your sign, which is the fear of things falling apart in ways you cannot prevent. The decision being pressed on you this week is not to stop caring about the situation. It is to stop burning your energy trying to control what cannot be controlled. There is a version of engagement with this situation that is grounded, realistic, and sustainable. And there is a version that is a slow drain on everything else you are trying to build. The decision is to choose the former, to do what is genuinely within your power and to release with intention what is not. Saturn will handle the rest. Decision 9. Whether to take your physical health and rest more seriously. Capricorn runs on ambition and responsibility, and those two fuels are so reliable that you can forget for extended periods of time that the body running on them is finite. You push. You keep going. You sleep less than you need and rest less than you should. You treat your body as an instrument of your goals rather than as the foundation on which all your goals depend. And your body has been communicating with you lately, probably in ways that have been easy to minimize because you are busy and because stopping does not come naturally to you. But the signals are becoming harder to ignore. The decision coming this week involves taking physical care seriously in a way that goes beyond intention. You may have been meaning to exercise more consistently, sleep more reliably, eat better, rest when you are tired instead of pushing through. Meaning to is not the same as deciding to, and Capricorn knows better than any sign the difference between an intention and a committed decision. This is not a suggestion. It is a recognition that the next chapter you are building cannot be built on a foundation that is being chronically neglected. Your body is part of your architecture. It deserves the same strategic investment as anything else you manage. The decision is to treat yourself as a priority, not in a self-indulgent sense, but in the disciplined, structural way that Capricorn does everything. Build the habit, protect the schedule, give yourself what you need to function at the level you are actually capable of when you are not running on empty. Decision 10. Whether to believe you deserve more than you have been settling for. This decision may be the quietest of all, but it may also be the most foundational. Somewhere along the way, Capricorn, you learn to equate deserving something with having earned it through a sufficient quantity of effort or sacrifice. You tell yourself you will allow yourself better things when you have done enough, achieved enough, proven enough. But that threshold keeps moving. There is always another thing to accomplish before you permit yourself the relationships, the rest, the joy, the abundance, the ease that you spend so much of your energy helping other people have. The belief that you are somehow not yet at the point of deserving more than what you currently have is the single greatest limitation on your life. It shapes what you ask for, what you accept, what you build, and what you allow yourself to want. And it is not true. It has never been true. It is a story you inherited or developed in response to an environment that required a lot from you before it gave you anything back. But that environment is not the definition of reality. It is just your history. The decision arriving this week is to simply decide, without needing evidence, without needing to earn it further, that you deserve more. More honesty from the people in your life. More abundance in every form. More ease. More joy. More of the things you quietly dream about in the spaces between your obligations. Capricorn, you are not behind. You are not unworthy. You are simply due for a recalibration of what you believe you are allowed to have. Decision 11. Whether to begin making moves aligned with your truest, deepest goals rather than the goals that feel safe. You have a public set of goals and a private set of dreams. The public goals are the respectable, practical, achievable ones. The ones you tell people when they ask what you are working toward. The ones that fit within the frame of what your life has been so far and what the people around you expect. The private dreams are bigger, bolder, less polished, and considerably more alive. They are the things that fill you with a kind of energy that your safe goals no longer do. They are the things you think about at the times when you allow yourself to think fully. The gap between the goals you have been pursuing and the vision that actually calls to you has been widening. And the decision that is being pressed on you this week is about whether you are willing to start bridging that gap. Not by abandoning everything you have built to chase something reckless. Capricorn would never do that, and your sign's instinct for structure and sustainability is an asset here, not an obstacle. But by beginning to orient yourself toward the truer destination. By starting to make small, practical, Capricorn-style moves in the direction of what you actually want rather than what has been most convenient to want. The next 7 days are not just any 7 days. They are 7 days in which the decisions you make will begin to build a new pattern, a new direction, a new version of the story you are living. The truest goals deserve the same discipline and attention you have been giving to the safer ones. Begin now. If this message resonated with your sign, trust that it is not a coincidence. When the universe wants to speak to you, it always sends exactly the right signal. And you are here because you needed to hear this today. Your support as a subscriber or as a member of this community is what keeps these messages alive. They are the messages that touch, awaken, and transform. If this video made sense to you, leave in the comments the day you were born. 11 decisions. Not all of them easy. Not all of them comfortable, but every single one of them real. Every single one of them already knocking at your door. You did not come across this message by accident, Capricorn. You were brought here because something in you recognized that the next 7 days matter more than they might appear to on the surface. Because you have felt that pressure building. That sense of things needing to shift. That quiet internal signal that the current arrangement of your life is asking to be rearranged. Saturn, your ruling planet, is often described as the taskmaster of the zodiac. And that is true in a sense. Saturn is demanding. Saturn will not let you coast. Saturn will press on every structure in your life that is not solid until it either strengthens or breaks. But Saturn is also the planet of just reward, of earned abundance, of respect, legacy, and lasting results. Saturn is not pressing on you because it wants to see you struggle. It is pressing because it knows what you are capable of, and it is tired of watching you hold yourself back from it. The decisions in the next 7 days are not your enemies. They are your allies. Each one is a door that, once walked through, cannot be walked back from because you will be different on the other side. More honest, more free, more fully yourself. Capricorn lives its best life not when everything is comfortable and predictable, but when it is rising to meet something worthy of everything it has built inside itself. This week is worthy. These decisions are worthy. And you are more than worthy of the life that is waiting on the other side of making them. You have always been capable of great things. The question that the next 7 days is putting to you is simply this. Are you ready to begin acting like you believe that? The answer, if you let yourself hear it, is already yes.